Hello everyone. This is Pinkie, the housewife, and I'm coming to you with a updated version for Tiffany Henyard. You know, one that calls herself the supermayor. But anyway, I'm coming to you with some new information on the supermayor. All right. But before we get started, let me go ahead and get the house rules and everything out of the way. Uh, Welcome to the Pink House. Okay, I'm going to welcome everybody to the Pink House. The second thing, go ahead and hit the like button on my video. Hit the like button on the video. That's to keep me in the algorithm. And I'm almost to 6,000 subscribers, 6K. In order to keep me there, I'm just probably 700 from being there, or maybe a little less, but about 700 subscribers from being at 6,000, 6K. So if you all can hit that like button, go ahead and subscribe to the channel to keep me where I need to be. I need to be at 6,000 subscribers by this coming Sunday. Um, so if you all can, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. I want to say thank you all for doing that. And then don't forget my second channel, Pink Global. Go ahead and help get that one monetized. All right. But we're going to talk about Tiffany Henyard. She sees, um, she was or still is, or whatever you want to call it. She still thinks she's the super mayor uh, for Dalton and the supervisor for Thornton Township. We'll see. But Tiffany claimed to be a lot of things. That's her right there. But anyway, the Lansing Journal is keeping all eyes on the supermayor. They're keeping all eyes. And the Lansing Journal, that's the newspaper in the community. And so we're going to go ahead and see what they're doing. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first video. Okay. We have two videos to show. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, guys. The information would be down in my description box. And credit goes to the first video, which is the Lansing Journal. Let me make sure I got it. Yeah, the Lansing Journal. Credit goes to them. This is just 5 hours ago, guys. 5 hours ago. But 5 hours ago, I was doing a live. So I couldn't do nothing 5 hours ago because I was already on a live. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start with this 5 hours ago. The Lansing Journal was on it. Okay. AK Cole's interest in Tiffany's Henyard continues. They're hosting part 2 of this conversation. Okay. But I got part 1. I'll do part 1 probably tomorrow because this is late. When I say late, it is 1:58 a.m. and I need to be in the bed. So after this video, I'm going to go ahead and go to sleep. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get it started with this video. Here we go, guys. The things Tiffany does. Oh, gosh, I tell you, this is just 5 hours ago. Okay, here we go, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get the video started.
I am Melanie Youngsma, publisher of the Lansing Journal. The Lansing Journal is Lansing's only newspaper, and we work hard to keep our diverse community informed and connected. Increasingly, our community includes people who are not geographically local to Lansing, Illinois. And this video is an example of how information and connection can cross miles. It's an interview that New York journalist A.K. Cole did with the Lansing Journal. He has published part 1 of this conversation on his channel, and I will link to that below. And then he provided the second half of the interview to the Lansing Journal so we can publish it and put it in front of our audience. I first met A.K. Cole in October last year, 2024, when he interviewed me about Thornton Township and Tiffany Henyard. And I'll link to that video as well. A.K. continues to be interested in this story, and it was fun to reconnect with him and add managing editor Carol Shawarko to the conversation for this video. A.K. Cole, thank you for the work you are doing and for giving us the opportunity to speak at length about the work we are doing. Lansing Journal followers, please welcome A.K. Cole. This part 2 video picks up with our discussion of the Democratic Caucus that we covered on December 3, 2024.
But I remember Tiffany saying that there was almost up to 500 people outside the gym waiting to get in.
I doubt that there were 500. So I did get there late. I had been at the Republican caucus in the next town. And I too was thinking that the Democratic caucus would last a long time. And so that I could do both. I could finish the Republican caucus and then zip over to the Democratic and cover both of them with video. But by the time I got there, it was shortly after 7 and it was over already. And there was a lot of traffic around the building where the Democratic caucus was being held. I did see township buses. I don't know if people were on them. They were parked along the street. And it was dark. And I wasn't exactly sure where the building was and where the parking was. So it took me a little while to navigate through the traffic. It seemed very busy outside. It seemed like a lot of cars outside, and there were some people still lined up, but not 500.
No.
No, and I doubt there were 500 people. Where this area is, I mean, 500 would have been, they would have been on the street. I also have to mention that Melanie got a parking ticket that night. So
are you serious?
these are the pains that we go through for reporting.
So wait, was the ticket was it just legal? Did you what was the ticket for?
Sorry,
I parked in a municipal parking lot, and I think the row that I was in is reserved for the Public Works Department.
And he's probably gone home for the night, so
it's adjacent to the police station. So the police have they have dedicated parking.
Yeah.
But in Melanie's defense, the sign is very tiny, and it was a hectic night.
And I came in a different way, so I didn't even notice the sign and that.
Well, I hope you get a good judge when you contest it.
But again, we did have another reporter there, a reporter, Paul Chapowitz. Am I saying his name right, Melanie? Chapovich, thank you. He was there, and so he did a report as well from outside. And he didn't report on crowds of that size. There was definitely a crowd. There was definitely a crowd out there waiting.
Yeah, I got some pictures of people lined up
and stuff. Yeah.
When Supervisor Henyard talks about this, she talks about people in wheelchairs and on crutches and old seniors waiting for hours in the below zero temperatures.
Yeah, and
it was not that bad. It was cold out. I think it was 20 degrees. I did not see any crutches. I did not see any. I'm not. There may have been some there, but it was not the hordes of
people. I think the bigger problem wasn't. I think the people would have waited, and they would have waited in the cold had they got into something that they were expecting. Had they entered, been able to vote, participated in the caucus. But I think that the big problem was that they waited, and by the time 90% of them, guess estimate, got in, it was already over. So that was very frustrating. Was you had us waiting out here while you knew this thing was going to start, and we didn't even get in on time to be able to participate in it. I mean, these people needed to be processed. Think about going through like a security line at the airport. You're not getting in that line 15 minutes before your plane's taking off, right?
Yeah.
In that line with enough time to make it up and get processed. If there's any problems, you get pulled over, etc. They were not provided that time. From my perspective, there was never going to be enough time to get those people in, check them in, and allow them to participate in the caucus, which frankly, nobody really participated in anyway.
Let's go back to a Dalton meeting that was held at the park. What's it called? The Dalton Park
District.
Park District, yeah. And there was a woman with a golf club, and it was highly mentioned in the meetings. Throughout the meetings, she has a weapon. She has a weapon. Is there security in those meetings? And because last night Tiffany was looking for security because she wanted to dispose of a resident that was talking out loud. But what's security like there at those meetings?
That's another complicated question.
Yeah.
I know for a long time, when meetings have been held at Thornton Township headquarters, there have been two or three security people standing around at the meeting. And I don't know who they are, who hired them, what their role is supposed to be. Then for a while, they added metal detection when we came into the building. We had to get wanded, and that was an extra step in security. I have never seen, the security people in those meetings, if somebody's yelling or getting aggressive, they'll go and stand by that person and just be a presence. Nobody has ever been roughhoused or
arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, Supervisor Henyard did call the South Holland Police once on a meeting, and they showed up and they asked some questions, but they did not make any arrests. They were there just to be a presence. They weren't even sure why they had been called. And there's a lot of confusion around security.
I remember that meeting, and I wondered, why is she calling South Holland? Township doesn't have their own police department?
No.
Really? So
The
Thornton
building is
Township
located
doesn't
in-
have its own police. And you guys are a large township. It's 17 communities, right?
Right.
Melanie, so how come, the overseer doesn't have its own police department?
Well, that is something that Supervisor Henyard introduced when she became supervisor. She has her own entourage. She had her own entourage of security, and it's not clear who was paying for that or why she needed 6 security people following her everywhere. So that has been called into question as well. And I have not seen that recently.
Right.
And
I mean,
like at last night's meeting, those security people weren't there. And I don't know why. I don't know who makes that decision.
yeah. I mean, that's just the typical, that's the law enforcement structure here. So each village or municipality has its own police department, and then we have a county police department. So it's not typical for a township to have a law enforcement function, at least not in Illinois.
That many people as her entourage?
What's the legal ramifications behind this caucus? Like, is she on the ballot, or what's the status with that?
She is currently not on the ballot. I believe she is suing either Napoleon Harris or the Democratic committee. She's got a lawsuit out there somewhere because she's challenging the way the caucus was held. Now, the Democratic committeeman does have a lot of power, does have a lot of decision-making authority when it comes to the caucus. So, Carolyn, I don't know yet if anything that he did was outside of his powers, because he has so much power, he has that authority to make that decision.
Yeah.
So that's going to take a lot of investigation too. And like everything, it's complicated. I think the reason Supervisor Henyard is so upset about it is because Napoleon Harris seems to have used some of the same tactics that she herself uses at meetings, and she kind of got beat at her own game. So she's reacting in her typical fashion. She's filing a lawsuit.
And that lawsuit is to get her back on the ballot.
I don't think
so.
I don't think a lawsuit would have that effect, because that'd be a separate process. But you know, I have to say that I don't think Committeeman Harris is. I don't think you know. I don't. The caucus didn't run the way that I expected it to run. I did my research beforehand and looked up what happens at a caucus so I would know what to expect in any event. And it did not run the way that I anticipated for it to run. So although, like Melanie said, you know, perhaps Supervisor Henyard has used some of the same tactics in her meetings, I don't know that she's completely wrong on this one. I think that there were some questionable things in the way the caucus was run. And I, as a resident of Thornton Township, you know, I think that maybe there are some answers that need to be had there. It felt very, very much like a bulldozer proceeding, you know, where it was just like, this is what's happening, y'all. And then it's over. You know, there should be opportunity to nominate other individuals. And I did not. It was extremely loud with everyone yelling. But I did not hear the committeeman or anyone else call for other nominations on the floor. I do call into question whether they were able to check the IDs of every single person in that room and get every person to sign an affidavit. So, you know, it is really weird that they had an event before that was invite only, and then only started letting other people in like a half an hour before, into a what I would characterize as a disorganized process and checking them in. So, I have to call those things out. You know, I don't.
Right.
I think the general feeling was that this would be an opportunity to put forth more than one nomination. There were people there who were expecting to be able to nominate somebody or to vote on a choice of nominations. And that did not happen. I have heard too that I don't remember who told me this, but people have said they did call for nominations, and that might be true. And it was just impossible to hear in that setting. It was so very loud. I've listened to the video recordings and I can't hear it either. Well, on one of them I thought I did, but on others I didn't. So it's not clear that happened, or that it was, if it did happen, it wasn't given much attention.
Right. But then again, you know, Tiffany Henyard was up in front shouting, screaming at Napoleon Harris, and people were shouting and screaming at her. And while I did not hear them call for other nominations, I also did not hear anybody nominate Henyard. You know, nobody stood up and say, I nominate Tiffany Henyard to be candidate for supervisor. I didn't hear her nominate herself. So that's kind of the other side, was that if you did want to nominate someone, now you shouldn't have to yell over people.
Right.
But I also did not witness that happen.
And it could be that the disruption that she caused prevented people from hearing the call for nominations.
Right.
It's just hard.
But she disrupted it when she, you know, got up to the front and Napoleon, and then, right. Things went, crazy. But so I guess that's gonna be.
She's only one person, though. I have to say, she's only one person. Yeah. So she was shouting, but a lot of people were shouting back at her.
Yeah, I heard the na-na-nas and all the other stuff. Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that we're being even here. And like,
Yeah.
did she do it the proper way? Probably not. But you know, a whole lot of other people got in on the hollering and shouting too.
Right.
So take that for what it is.
So this could be the reason why she's taking this to court. It's just going to be interesting to see, you know, how this plays out in court and after.
So what I'm covering today is objections to the caucus nomination. Yeah, so we already had one round of candidate objections. So this is where people file to be a candidate. They have to turn in, you know, a great amount of paperwork and petition signatures, things like that. So we already went through one set of people who had filed in Thornton Township, and those, you know, either the objections were dropped or they were accepted, and those people were rejected from the ballot. And so today we are going to start hearing the first in the objections against candidates who were nominated at the caucus. I don't know what those objections are yet. I will find that out when I go to the meeting in a couple of hours. But that's going, I anticipate there will probably be some objections related to that process and how their candidacy came to be. So we'll see after, you know, it should be about a couple weeks because these are fairly expedited proceedings because the election's coming up.
Right.
We'll see who remains on the ballot after that, and you know whether Napoleon Harris or any of the members from his slate remain on the ballot.
Awesome. Perfect. I'm glad you brought up the election. Perfect segue. So when exactly is the election?
April 1 is election day. Early voting starts, I believe, March 17.
So what's in February? I heard someone mention something about February. What's in February?
There is a primary in February. And
So
Carol and I are trying to figure this out.
Yeah, how is this going to work now? So they are running for the primary election, which is in February, and this is for all the Democrats. And like what?
So the caucus, sorry to be shaking my head at you there. But we think we've got this figured out. So the caucus preempted the primary for Democrats, and as it happens, because the Republicans caucused as well for Republicans in Thornton Township. Mm-hmm. So Cook County will still have its primary election. I can still go and vote in the primary, as you know, Melanie can, everybody, but those races won't be on the primary because instead of choosing their candidates via a primary election, they decided, which is Committee Man Harris, decided to choose candidates via the caucus.
Caucus, right. Okay. So right now, February is, unless, you know, judge changes things, a lawsuit, whatever, you know, what if that happens? You know, does then that change for February? You know, like what I meant to ask this, and I hate to go back to that caucus, but can the judge, or do you know from just reading up and looking into this, can the judge order a new caucus if he feels this one was not done right based on the material and evidence Tiffany brought to him?
Boy, that's a good question.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
My guess would be no.
No.
I don't think that a judge could instigate a new caucus. I think that
Yes.
the judge did find that there was impropriety at the caucus, that judge would simply throw out the results of that caucus. You know, we're on a timeline here. April 1st ain't that far away.
It's not.
You know? It's
not.
And the people need to know, you know, the people need to know who's on their ballot. The ballot's supposed to be finalized on January 23rd. That's really soon. So the people need to know who's on the ballot so they have a proper opportunity to do research and find out who they want to vote for.
Right.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. So as far as the election is going to be in April, and Okay, so walk me through this, Melanie, because we've got Dalton, we've got Thornton. Tiffany is going to be running for mayor in Dalton, and that election will be in April, right?
Right.
She's not, as of right now, she's not on the Thornton ballot because
Correct.
she lost Caucus. So what are residents saying? And I don't know if you've covered Dalton as much as you've covered Thornton, but what are residents saying about the election? What are you hearing? Is she expected? Because the reason why I'm asking you this question, Melanie and Carol, is because you guys are there. You guys are boots on the ground. You're speaking with residents. You see the residents there. But to us, on the YouTube side, we're listening to Tiffany telling us, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. Can she get it? What are the people out there saying? Because I looked at her meeting compared to the tea with the trustees, and there was a big difference as far as attendees. Tea with the trustees, it was packed with people, but Tiffany's, there was a lot of empty chairs. So what are they saying about this? Do you think she's going to win this election?
I've heard, on the one hand, people think how in the world could she, there's no way she could win. And yet stranger things have happened. We've seen so much craziness that I would hate to completely discount her.
All right.
Just based on all of the comments on our YouTube videos and even on Facebook and on our articles online, it's hard to find a Henyard supporter. But I realize that might be just because those people aren't reading our stuff. So we're not reaching everybody. And I think the word is spreading. I think she's making a name for herself, and people are seeing through her claims. But she does have, she's made it this far, and I would hate to be overconfident. I would hate for the House team, and I don't know if there's other people running. I see things about the House, Jason House and his team.
Yeah.
I think there's another mayoral candidate running as well.
But it looks like, Jason House is the leader for this race. I've been following him on Facebook and other platforms, and he seems to be the favorite. But, we're always reminded at these meetings, I got 82% of the vote. I'm going to win this. I got it, and I'm like, I don't see it, but, she keeps saying it. And
I would hate for anybody to be overconfident.
Yeah. Pearl, what have you heard on the street about Tiffany in this election? Do you think she has a lot of support? What have you picked up?
I really agree with how Melanie characterized it. That we wouldn't think so. We wouldn't think that she'd be reelected, but it's hard to say for the reasons that Melanie mentioned. We also know that, Henyard has a big, her biggest source of support is probably from seniors. Because
of bingo.
The bingo and, some of the services that she sort of personalizes and says are her own, even though, we were reminded at the meeting last night that transportation for seniors was around before Tiffany Henyard, and it'll be around after Tiffany Henyard. One thing that irritates me from a truth standpoint is that Tiffany Henyard likes to characterize everything as like, I brought this to you, I'm giving this to you, and it's not her.
I see that a lot in the comment section. It's always, I did this, I did that, I did this. I'm glad you brought that up, Carol.
Yeah.
And what are we saying in the audience?
Yeah. Let me just say something on that. She loved to say she did everything. She brought this, she started this. But when you think about it, this has been around before she even got there. They was doing this before then. She just put her name on it. She just put her stamp on it. To me, it's just like she just stamping it.
audience when she says
Accurate.
that? What's their reaction when she says
Well,
that?
she do have
The
a lot of
reaction is
senior
accurate.
citizens.
It's not
Yeah.
you. It's
I
not you.
think
It's the
she
township.
can
It's not.
still-
It's our
know,
money.
That's the whole
Yeah.
point of government, is that it's not a monarchy. It's not any one person making the decisions about what happens, you know. However, it's not uncommon for politicians to try to enamor themselves to any particular group of people, especially seniors. And why seniors? Because they vote.
They vote.
You
Right.
know, seniors
Right.
are more likely to vote than younger
Oh.
people.
Yep.
So, and we've heard comments like about Tiffany Henyard. One comment we heard was like, well, they're all corrupt. At least she's helping me.
Oh,
You know, and that's a really frustrating kind of a comment to hear. But, you know,
Yeah.
we have a tremendous amount of political corruption going back to the beginning of Cook County, is the county that we're in. So it's something that people have become a little bit jaded about. So they do have this attitude of like,
Yeah.
well, she's playing the game, but at least I'm on her side, kind of a thing. You know, I've heard comments, oh, I like Tiffany Henyard. She replaced my roof. And it's like, she wasn't up there with the shingles and the tar. And
Yeah.
she didn't replace your roof. It's a township program that you paid into as a taxpayer, that we all paid into, to make sure that a senior does have a good roof, to make sure that a senior does get their lawn mowed. You know, these are things that I do think are important. But Tiffany Henyard didn't come up with them. It's not coming out of her pocketbook. And, you know, it's things that we all support collectively. So got a little off track there with your question, but
No, I
so
like
she
that.
has enamored herself to the seniors, is my point. Yeah.
Yeah, where do you guys cover the most? Thornton or Dalton, or both?
Thornton Township.
Thornton Township. So that's
Dalton
your
is within Thornton Township, but they, and so is Lansing. So as much as we sympathize with everything that's going on in Thornton Township or in Dalton,
Dalton, right.
we try to stay focused just on the township.
Just on the township. Got it. Got it. William Moore. Who is he? What does he do there?
Do you know? Because we don't know either. Melanie definitely knows more about this than I do.
that's bad.
Yeah. William Moore.
He's come up now in
is
these
he?
meetings. He's
Where he
kind of
came
like,
from?
you know,
Who
got a
is
name
he?
for himself going. So what's going on with
We
him?
don't
Who
know
is he?
you.
What does he do?
I have heard that his title is executive assistant to Supervisor Henyard. He also was the housing director in Dalton, and he has a history of political appointments or politically appointed positions. Does not have a good reputation. When he's at meetings, Thornton Township meetings, he talks back to the people in the crowd, not very respectfully. My main interaction with him was when he tried, I sat behind him at a meeting and he tried blocking my camera, wouldn't let me take pictures, wouldn't let me take video.
Oh my God.
And
Oh, that's not cool.
no. So
No.
he's very much in Supervisor Henyard's pocket and supports whatever she does and disparages people who don't.
Mm.
And that's what the
Yes.
crowd was reacting to at the meeting last night when he
my
was
God.
asked to pray.
Yeah, and that
from?
was a very sensitive topic. You know, when everyone takes prayer seriously. I know I do. And what were your thoughts about that? I just want to know, like, you know, because I was a little upset behind that. You know, I didn't know what to think behind that, you know, because it's a very sensitive topic, prayer and the church and stuff. And we're all the you know, because some people stayed, not everybody walked out. You know, what was the environment, the atmosphere like when that prayer started and people started talking, ignoring it?
Hostile.
I was a little surprised at how
I was surprised.
how long they kept up the bantering while he was praying.
Yeah.
I was not surprised at the immediate reaction when she said William Moore is going to pray for us. It was not surprising that the crowd reacted to that.
Me too.
I was surprised that they continued it throughout his prayer. And it's unfortunate, but I totally understand it when somebody who is that he's can be abusive in meetings.
He can, and I will say I've seen it on video, but I remember
bullying.
seeing him a number of times, verbally attack, members of the public, and then say that they don't live in the township and why they're there, and that's another thing too. And we mentioned this. There's 17 communities under Thornton Township. So people from South Holland, from Dalton, from neighboring areas can come to this meeting and speak. No, they're still, what's the difference? Yeah.
Well, and there's, regardless of how you think about it or feel about it, there's no rule that says you can't come from outside of the township and come to a meeting and offer public comment. There's absolutely no rule. You can be from Germany and come and offer a comment. Like there's no rule that says that. So that's, you might be irritated by it as a resident and say, what business do you have in my township offering comment? But this is, they've garnered wide attention. And so they've garnered an audience. They've done things. Tiffany Henyard has done things that has garnered an audience from far and wide to come in. One thing too about him offering the prayer last night is I've only been covering the township for a little over 2 months, but maybe 10 meetings now. This is the first time that I've heard them call for prayer before the meeting. So the motivation behind Tiffany Henyard calling for the prayer seemed a little disingenuous to me. Why now and why him? Like if you bring people together in prayer, why would you choose a figure that is so polarizing? We have no shortage of wonderful faith leaders in our area that could have been called in and would have been glad to come in probably and offer a prayer, or just an individual of faith that could offer a prayer. Why him and why then? So I thought it was, I'm not someone who would shout out anyway. So to me, that is a little like, come on, guys. And I did think that they went on for a while, like Melanie said, but the motivation behind the timing and the person was suspect.
I agree.
Put the bully up front.
All right, we're going to wind down, ladies, and I appreciate you guys taking the time out today and kind of going over these things. There's another name that started to circulate, Stephanie Wedman. Who is she? Yeah, I heard she's Wedman. I'm sorry. Is she running to be on the board? I know there are a lot of people, Mary Avant, who's very vocal in Dalton. She's running to be on a trustee board. But Stephanie is looking to do it. Are they looking to bring her in now to be that replacement for Jerry Jones? What's her story, Stephanie Wedman?
Right. She was a township employee. So she's very familiar with the inner workings of the township. She's not interested in political office, but she became interested in this position, this replacement position, replacement for Jerry Jones, because she recognizes that for one thing, it's a short term. It would just last until the April election. So she's willing to serve for that short time. And she realizes that a lot of work needs to be done in that short time in order to set up the next board for success. So she's willing to serve for that short time. That meeting is happening next week on the 21st. And that, I believe, will be similar to a caucus where people can put forth nominations for that empty vacated seat. And Stephanie has indicated that she's willing to be one of those names put forth. There may be other names put forth as well.
What's next?
All right. So what's next for Lansing Journal before we conclude this? What other stuff are you working on? Any shows? I know you guys just did a really good Q&A, which prompted me to kind of do this follow-up and kind of plug in some holes here. But what's next for Lansing Journal?
Whew. We are just kind of taking it day by day, trying to survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are hosting a forum for candidates candidates for office in Lansing, which admittedly is less interesting to your viewers, AK. But and then we also are working on, it's not finalized yet, but I think I can mention it, a virtual candidate forum for Thornton Township candidates. And we're hoping to get some partnership participation from some of our local news colleagues in the area. Okay. But we really want to bring together the candidates for Thornton Township into an interview forum situation where we would ask them, obviously, about their plans, their backgrounds and their plans for office, should they get elected. So we talked about having it in person and decided that the logistics would just be too much for us. So we're looking now at hoping to gather the candidates and being able to live stream that. And then take some questions from the audience as well. So we can answer people's questions and thoughts that they have.
And we really have to think through that, because there are at least, I counted it up, there are at least 22 candidates for, there are 3 supervisor candidates, and then trustee candidates, clerk, assessor, and highway commissioner are all part of the slates that are going to be voted on. So we got to figure out,
right?
Can we handle? Can you do a forum with 22 people?
Get them all in the same room at one time.
Right.
Yeah.
The entire board's turning over. So it's, but at the same time, that's a lot for people to vote on. You look at a ballot with that many candidates, you want to know what you're looking at.
Right. What about Nate? I think it's Nate. He's running for supervisor. Is he on the ballot or not?
Nate Fields?
Nate Fields. Yeah, great guy.
I think he's off, but he's appealing. Is that right?
Yeah, he appealed. He was one of those candidates I referred to earlier that had some objections to his candidacy, and he did get removed from the ballot. But he was appealing. We had a couple people who were removed from the ballot. Nate, and then Sydney Moore was another candidate for supervisor who was removed. That's actually one of my next stories or next follow-ups, is I'm going to be contacting both of them and to see how their appeals went.
Right.
We haven't heard anything from them, so my guess is that their appeals didn't go well. I feel like if they were on the ballot, they'd be celebrating that and kind of shouting about it, and but not sure yet.
Wow. Well, it's a lot going on over there in Thornton. I'm glad to see that you two are holding it down as far as bringing us the updates and the latest and the greatest. And thanks to Critical Smoker and all the others that, are bringing this meeting to us live. I really appreciate that. But I told you, I'm going to try to get up there for the election in April. And hopefully be there. Yeah, I really want to get up there in April and then kind of meet everybody and kind of see how it works out. It's going to be interesting to see. But before we close out, did you guys want to contribute anything else?
I really want to thank you, AK, for giving us, an hour to talk about this. So often things are rushed and you have to quickly think of something and you're rushing off to something else. But to be able to have some quality time to really converse about these things is important. So we appreciate the deep dive that you're doing.
Oh, Melody, that means a lot. And I felt like this debrief was needed, to kind of surround ourselves with all the facts and kind of get an idea as to where we are now. There's so much has transpired and, issue to issue to issue. So I thought this would be good. And maybe we could do another one, A lot of people suggested that we do this. So that's why I reached out to you and said, let's set this up. But
Yeah.
But no, how about you, Carol? Did you have anything else to say?
Yeah, I also appreciate you taking the time to look into this, because there's so much, there's really a lot of nastiness out there, and that that we don't ascribe to. That's not what we do. So we're obviously trying to do it differently, trying to be journalists in the way that we are. And then I would also offer a thank you to our viewers and our readers in being patient with us and following our coverage. This is a lot, frankly. It's not one story. There are so many layers here to look into, and it's not always simple. It's not black and white as many times as we wish it would be. There's a ton of gray area. So I just would encourage people to remember that, and to thank them for all the support they offer us. We get a ton of support on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook, and we really appreciate that.
It means
And
a lot to us. Yes.
yeah, it really
That's
does.
That's good. Well, I'm glad things are working out, and I just can't wait to get to the finish line and get things back to normalcy for Thornton Township and Dalton at that. So let's hope for that. But thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and we'll see you at the next meeting. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, that is the Lansing Journal. All right. Thank you all for watching that. Now, I did have another short video to go with this about the meeting that they was talking about. I really did. But because that one lasts so long, let me see how long that video is. Let me just look right quick for a second. Let me see. Let me just see. Here it is right here. It is 48 minutes. Yes. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this here, and we're going to work on this one tomorrow. Okay. Let me just, because I do have that meeting, it do show that the guy that they was talking about doing the prayer, that never happened before, and people are standing up in all the chaos and stuff that happened during that meeting. So, but I will be posting that one separately, because that is a 48-minute video, and it's 2:41 a.m. I'm really needing to go to bed, because I did a live myself. I did several pre-recorded videos before I started this. So I'm really getting sleepy, and I don't want you all to see these eyes go like this. Look, you'll be looking for me. I mean, oh Lord. So we're gonna give me a rest, okay? But I will be coming back, and I will pick up tomorrow morning, which is not too well, it's already tomorrow morning. It is what's today? It was Thursday, so now it's Friday. So Friday, when I wake up, I'm gonna take my sleep. And when I wake up on Friday, well, you know what I mean. When I get up from my sleep, I will go ahead and put that on. I already got it sitting here, and I will put that on, but I will be dropping this part. Okay, I'm going to drop this part, and then I'll put the other part on. Okay. All right, guys. It's been a rough night for me. Thank you, and I'll just pick it up for tomorrow. And Tiffany, go sit down somewhere, girl. Go sit down somewhere. I ain't got nothing else to say. But thank you, guys. I don't have nothing else to say when it comes to that person. All right. Good night, guys. Bye-bye.